Well, welcome back to the Lady Flames softball podcast. There is so much to get into this week. They have done it. The Lady Flames are going to the Super Regional. We actually just said goodbye to them at their send-off. It was so awesome. Tons of Flames fans there. Head coach Dot Richardson coming out, pumping up the crowd. Go Flames, go God, like she was saying all over the broadcast. It was absolutely amazing, just to see the community rally around this team and to see the girls coming out and shaking hands, giving hugs, saying hi to kids, signing balls, signing posters. Really awesome, Tori, just to see the way that the softball community and this Lynchburg community have rallied around this Flames team.
Well, I mean, we saw tweets from Jen Schroeder, everyone around softball, D1 softball. So this, Liberty softball is trending.
Yeah.
This is a national thing. There are so many eyes on Liberty right now, but it all started with these Flame fans, with Lynchburg, with the backing here in Virginia. Yes, now they've caught, national attention. Everybody knows about Liberty, but these fans, I mean, they're the faithful ones, and they've been here since day one. And so, we saw them today. They're rooting for the club, and it's just good to see Liberty finally get that next step of recognition.
Yeah, I mean, they've been fighting for it for so long. And when you're watching that final out that they needed in Game 3, I mean, we're all getting flashbacks to last season. First of all, I mean, you're trying to hope for the best, but you can't. Even the players were saying, man, we were thinking about last year and how badly that stung and that it can't happen again. So that had everyone on the edge of our seat, but Kaylin Yoder, I mean, incredible and pulled it off. And the MLB was posting about this.
Too cool.
Everyone was going wild. I mean, the number one seed in the entire tournament gets knocked out by Liberty, the first time it has ever happened in history. And let's get right into that because, Liberty, they've had such a great season. They've been a threat at the regional every single year leading up to this for the past 3 years or so. So when you're a team that's been ranked 24, 25 throughout the majority of the season and you get dealt a hand like Texas A&M for the regional, I mean, they were kind of sent off to die in the eyes of the softball world with that placing, but, it fueled their fire, and it's so crazy to see what unfolded there.
I think we saw it in just all of the comments going throughout the softball community. How in the world did Liberty end up in this regional? Of course, you knew that they deserved to be there, but to be dealt that hand by the NCAA, that was rough.
Yeah.
Okay, but Liberty, I mean, it truly is the David and Goliath story because Liberty, odds were stacked against them. We saw some of the calls, some of those bang-bang plays and the replays. I mean, Annie, literally nothing went their way.
No.
But the one thing that we can say is regardless, they came through. They've got that underdog, that grit mentality that Dot Richardson likes to talk about. And regardless, they showed up and they balled, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so they got it done.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few very questionable calls, and it was good to hear the people on the broadcast actually pointing that out and not really shying away from it, like that obstruction call and then the Savannah Jessie play at home. My one thing that I need to just really quickly get out there, why in the world do you still lose a challenge even if you got it right? You win the challenge, that shouldn't be a challenge taken away from you. It's not that way in the NFL, and I feel like that's the place where we're most accustomed to seeing challenges.
Yeah.
If you win the challenge, you were right on the call, and it's the fault of the umpires ultimately. That's the thing where, Game 2, you lose that first challenge, but you win that second one.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be out of challenges, and that's what ultimately harmed them with that Jessie play at home.
Oh, absolutely. You probably shouldn't have used the first one. It wasn't too close, but I understand, especially runner going into scoring position. But that second one, it was so valid, and everybody watching back on the broadcast, we were like, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
And then the obstruction call, you're trying to make a play on the ball. What else are you supposed to do? As someone who loves defense myself, I would be so frustrated.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make a play on the ball. It was a base running mishap regardless. Even if there wasn't contact, she made a base running judgment error.
Yeah.
She was going to be out. And so that is what was kind of frustrating to see. But, of course, we're Liberty fans. But regardless, people around the country, I mean,
they were backing us up.
They were backing us up too.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, despite all the odds, Liberty still pulls it off. And game one, that was so critical to the success that they had in the tournament. And they've done that every single year. They've managed to win that first game that set them up for success in the final. They made a huge comeback.
And the girls said it. Once they won game one, it was kind of that weight off their shoulders, because not only are you in the driver's seat, you know that you can do it. They've got to pull 2 wins off of you. But also, I think it just gave them that competitive edge to see Texas A&M kind of deflate a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, they came back day 2 ready to come at Liberty, but I think just that first taste of success for LU, the girls said it, like that gave them all the hope they needed to finish it out.
Yeah, and also to see, in game one, you run out the All-American Emily Kennedy, and that was, arguably the biggest hurdle they had to jump over to be able to win this series. So your bats are going in game one. You're able to make that late push at the end there and really see what you're capable of. And I know that Liberty, their coaching staff, set them up for success in that. Here's Dot Richardson talking a little bit about how they prepared for Emily Kennedy and that entire A&M pitching staff.
So to be able to get our knowledge and to pour it in, we come together and we say, okay, how do we beat this team? How do we prepare our girls to be the best they can be? And when they're there, then it becomes that mindset, right? And so against Texas A&M, the number 1 ranked team in the nation, who are they going to throw? So let's prepare our hitters for that. And we knew Kennedy would be the one, right? And as a lefty, when you have Emily Kirby, Nagel being able to pitch and to simulate it, but also with it's amazing, you guys, the resources that you have to scout teams. And we're prepared. And we weren't just prepared for Kennedy. We knew we'd face, other pitchers. They have a very talented squad. And then you got to look at their hitters and how are we going to pitch them. And so it takes a lot. It's funny, in my game, years ago, you just showed up, swung the bat a few times, played the game, here we go. I think these kids have swung the bat more in 1 year than I swung my bat in my career. And it's just awesome to see the resources. We have 7 indoor batting cages. We have hit tracks. We've got K-vests. We've got all of this stuff. There is no excuses for us not to be the best we can be. And I just think, number one, God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, I thank them. And I thank Liberty for having that be the focus of giving us the resources. And when you're at Liberty, you get everything that you need. Academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. And not every school can say it.
I mean, Annie, that's just so remarkable. I mean, Liberty being able to put in preparation like that, I think it was something that flew a little bit under the radar. The fact that Liberty was able to take the number 7th overall draft pick and just absolutely tee off. I mean, of course, people were talking about it because it's Texas A&M, but give Kennedy credit where it's due. She's one of the best pitchers in the nation, and she's got those accolades for a reason, but Liberty came fully prepared. They knew what they wanted to drive, when they wanted to do it, and they got it done.
Yeah. It was so incredible to watch. So then you go from that huge game 1 victory to a regional final day where, hey, you just got to take one of 2. Game 1, Tori and I were watching it together. Man, the roller coaster of emotions was insane. And I'm sure every single, not even Flames fan, softball fan out there can agree.
I have never been so nervous for a game in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of the sport, even playing myself, I've never been that nervous. I was physically nauseous sitting on the couch watching
we were
those
shaking.
games.
It was not good. We were not doing well because Liberty gets out to that 6-1 or something, like
they were up 6-0 at one
6-0.
point. Yeah.
The 6-run lead, and then you watch it kind of slowly melt away, and then it's a tight game. A&M puts themselves ahead once again, and you're like, man, Liberty kind of blew their shot. You know, you're kind of thinking like game 2 already, but then they do what they do best. They come back. It was insane to see that comeback in game 2. And then you have it all tied up, bases loaded, KK Madry up to bat, can't ultimately make something happen, but I mean, what she did in that series, game 1 and everything, was still so incredibly stellar. I know that she probably wishes she could have that pitch back, but I mean, the Flames kept battling. It was tied. You go into extra innings. That's when it kind of got away from Liberty a little bit. So you headed into a game 2, but I mean, I think the fight in you go into game 3, but the fight in game 2 can't go unnoticed because you put up 11 runs on the number 1 team in the nation.
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about getting to see Kennedy again in game 3, you were able to kind of get those reps, and you made their pitching staff really dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And so I don't know that you would be able to get some of those same at-bats in game 3 without game 2 and stretching out that pitching staff. Going 8 innings against that team is ridiculous. And I think when we saw those home runs by Perez and by Barbara, those were kind of what deflated us watching at home. But it really didn't seem to really get Liberty's spirits down. They still came back. They were still fighting. But that game 3, I mean, they came out to play. Yeah. They got down 3-1 early, but we've talked about it. Savannah Jessie came to play game 3.
Yeah, it was incredible. So, yeah, ultimately, like A&M, they get up 3-0, and the Lady Flames bats are silent for a long time. You're kind of like, man, this game's going by quick. We got to make something happen. Rachel Roupe, solo homer. Okay, there's one on the board. We can make something happen here. And you get a runner on. Savannah Jessie marches up to bat, and she had been like 0 for 9 or something on the series so far. She was not having a great time at the plate, and she's the first one that will come out and say that. Oh, yeah. But you go up there, and what is it she said? She said, I have nothing to lose but everything to gain when she goes up there in that kind of situation. Let's hear her talk a little bit about that at bat. Cool. I'll just bring that real quick. So yeah, Savannah Jessie goes yard, and I think that might be the top overall moment. I mean, Roupe's, big moment. We'll get to that in a second. But Savannah Jessie, like, when you're in a headspace like that, and you know this playing college ball, you've had not a great regional final whatsoever, and you're thrust in the biggest situation of the entire weekend. You know, it's on the line for you to take your team into the next round, something your program has been working for years. And she goes up there, she gets in the right mindset, and she just smashes one. And that had to have felt so good for her.
I loved hearing what Yoder said to her. You either think about nothing at all or you think about the Lord.
Yeah.
And so she was looking at that one pitch on the inner half. That's all she was thinking about. I got to go up. I got to get a job done. If she throws it to me, she does, and I'm going to take advantage of it. And so I love just seeing the mentality of some of the Liberty pitching staff, these hitters. You can tell that has just been ingrained into them, into their culture, and that's why they're having a lot of success.
Yeah. So then, base is loaded once again. And at this point, A&M, they're just flying through their rotation of pitchers. You get a new arm out there. She gives up a base hit and a walk, get her out of there, bring in a new arm. I think it was Gracie Sparks who was in the circle at this time. And, the broadcast team was saying it. You have to be so careful with Rachel Roupe up to bat. Leaves one kind of hanging, and I mean, the rest is history. And it was just the most incredible moment, I'm sure, for Rachel Roupe in her career. That's got to take the cake. I'm sure when all is said and done, that moment is going to take the cake. Don't want to speak for Rachel, but just what a great moment for her. She had talked about she'd been put in those situations before. Earlier this season, she didn't pull it off when she was in that big moment. She goes up here, the whole nation is watching. She has that pressure on her shoulders, and she delivers.
I loved hearing what she talked about in that post-game interview. They asked her, what were you thinking? She's like, I just did, what I do. Hit dingers.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she does. I mean, we have seen it, Annie. It doesn't matter where it's pitched. when she decides that she's going to take a swing at one.
Yeah.
I mean, she's golfed one over the fence, especially her last at bat
Yes.
at Camp Ice Field.
She made that one happen.
She made that
Yeah.
happen. Regardless, she was going to scoop that
Yeah.
thing out. And so I think that was the same mentality that she went up there with. She was going to find a pitch that she could hit, but the girl can hit about anything anywhere close to the plate. So
And that wasn't just any home run. That was a no-doubter from the second it left the
No-doubter.
bat. It was incredible. So Rachel Roupe put the Lady Flames ahead. It got real testy there at the end. It ends up being 6-5 going into the bottom of the 7th. I mean, I'm sure no one could breathe who was watching this game. I know I couldn't breathe. I was like sitting on my floor just looking up at the TV like praying, please, Lord, please, Lord. But man, Kaylin Yoder, she hasn't pitched the entire regional. She comes in an insanely big moment and she pulls it off. I mean, and you know, watching her on the TV, I'm like, man, she looks confident. She looks sure of herself. But then hearing her talk about it, she's like, dude, I was stressed. I was nervous. And I'm like, okay, very valid. I would be too.
Yeah.
But to feel that kind of pressure and pull it off, man, so much has to be said for her.
yeah, I think when she came in, I mean, even Coach Richardson talked about it. Her first warm-up pitch, she rolled, but then immediately it was like once she heard some of the heckling, and of course we heard it all broadcast, but once she heard it, I think she kind of a switch flipped with her. And she's such a gamer. She's so competitive.
gamer,
I don't know that there's anybody that has more of that fierce mindset on the team. I know like KK Madry and Rachel Roupe, they're kind of those stone cold, you know, energy in big moments, but she's fierce.
So fierce.
And so just seeing kind of like her swagger on the mound, that was really cool for me. Even, you know, her having that self-talk, and it almost seemed like she was kind of praying through some of those pitches, and just seeing her like just within herself, all that confidence, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I remember going back to that first warm-up pitch. I'm on the phone with my dad. You know, he's watching the game too, and we're just talking about, oh my gosh, like this is a moment. Kaylin Yoder is coming in the game, and I can kind of tell from the way that she pitched it. The camera angle wasn't great, but I could tell that it was a ball in the dirt, and that's kind of why she was laughing or smiling and kind of laughing at herself. And my dad, I don't think he could tell, but he was like, "Oh, it's great. Like she's smiling. She's comfortable." I'm like, "Dad, I think she's smiling because she just threw her first ball like in the dirt." And I'm like, "But you know what? All power to her." And like in her post-game presser, she says, I kind of turn around at that moment and I laugh because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. So I have to kind of choose which way I'm going to go with this. And she chose the path of mental strength, of confidence, in a way that's got to fire you up, being in front of a crowd that is heckling you.
Runners at first and second, you come into that position.
Yeah.
Escobar, I mean, she was fighting through it. It was hot. The pressure's on. So many innings out of her going through that injury and all of that pain, insurmountable pain, but battling through it, ultimately has to come out. And then, Yoder, I mean, she's in the bullpen. She's getting dialed in. She's getting ready. But you could just tell as soon as she got going that, it was her game. It was her game.
I mean, and so much has to be said for Elena Escobar as well.
Yes.
Throwing over 400 pitches in the regional, just absolutely battling through it all. We know what she's been through this season. She's had illness. She's had physical injury. But, she's the one that they turn to in these situations, and she has to be ready to go 3 games. And she did it. At the very end, it became a little too much. And, I mean, her health is what's most important. So great to see someone be able to come in and step up in her place. Huge moment for Kaylin Yoder, and she pulls it off. But let's just hear from Coach Richardson really quick, talking about Elena Escobar and the job that she's done.
To let you know, with Elena Escobar, affectionately known as E, she's been dealing with an Achilles injury for a long time. And she walks in a walking boot. She also had a knee injury that she's been dealing with, and we've been trying to give her rest. And when we went out in that championship game, we did not take her out. Her tears were because she could not give anymore. She gave up the home run. She gave up 2 singles back to back. And she realized that she's giving her best, and her best at that time wasn't good enough to make it happen. And she was in such pain. So God's got a plan, and here's Kaylin Yoder just waiting for her opportunity.
So yeah, Elena Escobar, absolute fighter through this past weekend. And I think what's on all of our minds now as we look ahead toward Oregon is we hope that she's good to go, good to put out. Honestly, she's probably going to have to produce the same amount this weekend as last weekend. She's got to be ready to go 3 games, but she can do it. We've seen her do it in years past. And on this big of a stage, her health is what's most important, but that mentally she's going to push herself as far as she can go.
I think the big thing is, like you said, of course, we want her healthy, but we also have to have that defense step up around her, or anyone, whoever is in the circle, because you and I have talked about it. Oregon, they can flat run the bases.
Yeah.
They're athletic, they're quick, and so I think you've got to have your defense step up and rally around whoever gets the call on the mound. Because what they're going to do, they're going to put the ball in play. No matter who's up there, they're going to put the ball in play. But it's not about the power. They're going to force you to throw them out. And so I think that's going to be something that they're looking at. And, of course, Riley McCoy, freshman, 19 home runs. She leads the club. But it's going to be all about the speed.
Yeah. I mean, you have Luchar on that group batting .453 right now, one of the top batting averages in the nation. I mean, Oregon in general, they have the 6th best batting average in the nation. They're 5th in OBP. They're 3rd in stolen bases in the nation. And, the 2 ball clubs that are in front of them aren't in the kind of conference that Oregon is in, playing the same kind of competition. So it's going to be tough. They're a different team than Texas A&M. When you just, in my eyes, they're a team of just pure athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Just everything that they can do. I mean, it's going to be so hard to get them out. So like you said, a lot is going to rely on this defense, and that does make you a little bit nervous, just considering, we saw Savannah Watley go down with an elbow injury. Health at this time of year is not anyone's friend. So you think of Escobar battling, you think of Watley battling. I know Woodard's been battling as well. First base, Brooke Roberts, sad not to see her out there this past series. We don't really know what her status is going into the Super Regional, but it's going to call for a lot. Savannah Jessie, a lot's going to be asked from her when you have a team that steals bases like Oregon does. You got to be at the top of your game. So the pressure's going to be on from that regard. But Tori, where do you feel like Liberty can pull ahead?
I think the biggest thing is their preparation and the fact that they have the bats going what we saw from top to bottom. I think that is going to be the biggest thing for them. I think they've got more power in the meat of their lineup than Oregon does. When you compare just the stats and the home runs, they have more home runs throughout that lineup. I think they have more ability to string runs together because they're so versatile, because you can get runners on, you still got the speed, but then you've got the RBI power behind them.
Yeah.
So I think if they can score early and then just be defensively sound, that they could really compete here. But you're going against Lindsey Grine. That is a tough task. She's most improved player of the year for a reason. Came from Tech, was pitching there with Emma Limley, but the ball is hers, and she looks great.
Which I wondered, I hadn't looked into this, but I wonder if a lot of Liberty hitters have seen her before.
Yes, I know that there are quite a few, Rachel Roupe, Madry, a lot of those seniors have seen her before. And so I think that will probably give them a little bit of an edge, just with being a little bit comfortable with her delivery out of the right hand. But I also think, I mean, when you talk about what Coach Richardson had them do preparing for Kennedy, she's going to do the exact same when it comes to grind. So I think that their level of coaching preparation is really going to help them going forward.
Yeah, and it helps from a scouting standpoint, too, when it's a pitcher that they've scouted before in the past. So I'm sure a good chunk of the work is already done from there, and then they'll do what they do best and get things rolling from that perspective. But, yeah, in my mind, Oregon – great at small ball, extremely fast, great slappers, and really solid pitching. For Liberty, the keys are going to be great defense. Your defense has to be quick. I think shortstop is a little bit concerning just because you don't really know who's going to get the call at that position. But I feel like other than that, you have great faith in what your team can do. And then from a hitting perspective, I think it's so incredible that Savannah Jessie really got going with that huge home run in Game 3 because, she was struggling. That was an area of the lineup that wasn't doing their best and would create a lot of outs for this team. But when you get confident in a way like that, you're going to have a whole new mindset stepping into the box against Oregon. The moment, I'm sure, it isn't going to feel quite as big. Yeah. And if that part of the lineup can step up for you, we already have so much faith that KK Madry, look at her OBP. Rachel Roupe, you see her all the time contributing. Paige Dorr has stepped up in such a big way. If you can get this lineup clicking on all cylinders, there's no reason why you can't put up 11 runs on Oregon as well.
No, Annie, I think you're exactly right. And I think another hitter that's kind of flown under the radar, the new cleanup hitter, at least for the regional, Alyssa Hinault.
Yeah.
She was incredible. So clutch. We've talked about it. Used to coming in that pinch hitter role, but that has kind of shaped her to be able to handle those moments when it comes down to it. She was so good at Campbell, and she has made the transition just seamlessly to Liberty. Good to see her with the bat in her hands, and they need the production out of her as well.
They do, but yeah, she's done such a great job. I think looking at her story, what stands out the most is you come to Liberty from Campbell, you get put into a role that I'm sure not everybody loves.
Right.
You don't get the call defensively. You're kind of you're a role player for this ball club, but she didn't let that bog her down in any regard. She said it in the presser the other day. I told myself, hey, this is my role for this team. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
And I think it's just so cool to see some of the girls on this roster that are from Oregon. They're getting to go home to their families that are going to be there. Their families are probably traveling regardless, but especially for Paige Dorr, talked about her mom played at Oregon. They've been talking back and forth, but she said when it comes down to it, my mom's a Paige Dorr fan.
Yeah.
She said she played at Oregon, but she's a Paige Dorr fan.
Yeah.
So that's cool that they're going to, go home and be playing close to their home fields.
Yeah. And by the way, so close to getting a super regional here at Liberty.
We wanted it so bad.
We wanted it so bad. It wasn't in the cards, though. If there's one thing you learn over the years, God's going to make happen what he wants to and when it's supposed to happen. So really excited to see these ladies and all that they're going to do in Oregon. It's going to be something to watch. And also, what a week for Rachel Roupe, because not only does she send her team to the Super Regional for the first time in program history, she gets drafted as a pro player to her head coach's pro team, the Florida Vibe. She'll be joining Emily Kirby, Kara Canetto. What an incredible moment for Rachel Roupe, because hey, she deserves it so much.
So much. Second team All-American. She found out that and getting drafted in the same day, right? Coming after those wins, you talked about it, but that just shows how much that Liberty has had talent and success throughout. And then now, especially with Rachel Roupe, they're finally getting the attention. But, that Vibe roster is full of Liberty legends, and she just gets to be one more.
Yeah. It's so amazing. Liberty forming their own pro team, basically. So super awesome to see. And I also think, the success that Liberty is having on the national stage, not only from a standpoint of what happens on the field, but off it as well. The comments are flooded with, I want to play for that head coach. That team looks like they're so much fun. This is the ultimate recruiting tool that you could ever have, is your team making waves nationally and looking like a group that who wouldn't want to come and play for Liberty, especially for those Christian athletes out there who were the best of the best in the country. It's a place where you can grow in that faith so strongly, and your coach is so vocal about that, which is amazing to see. And your ball club is taking down the number 1 team in the nation.
Yeah. 4 quick points about Coach Richardson.
Oh, yeah.
Gold medalist.
Yep.
They talked about that she drove the van through what was the sidewalk instead of the road, constantly dancing.
Yep.
And will preach the gospel during the game and on the broadcast.
Yeah.
So if
great.
you want just an absolute legend for a coach, look no further.
You look no further than Dot Richardson. Can't wait to see what head coach Dot Richardson is going to pull out of her sleeve in Eugene, Oregon. She's been waiting for this moment for such a long time. But let's get into this bracket, Tori. For all the teams, there's only 16 remaining. Liberty is one of them. So you have Liberty and Oregon. Then you go down UCLA, South Carolina. We're going to get Tori's picks. This is our little segment here. Tori's going to, kind of map out who she thinks she's going to be seeing in OKC. So we already know Liberty is going to be right there, Tori. We're not going to doubt that. And then we go out of that, and UCLA, South Carolina. Who you got?
I have to take UCLA on this one. I think South Carolina kind of has flown under the radar so far this season. They're in the SEC, so they have been pretty battle-tested.
Yeah.
But I'm still taking the Bruins on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, Dot Richardson's alma mater, always impressing out there. Now we move on. Florida State, Texas Tech. We know the power that Texas Tech has and how incredible they've been. Who do you think comes out of that one?
I'm taking Nigeri Kennedy all the way. One of the best two-way players that I've seen and one of the best in the decade. She is on fire right now. I'm taking her all the way.
Awesome. And then we move on down. Ole Miss, what they did over Arizona was really, really impressive. They're going to be taking on Arkansas, and Bree Ellis doesn't look too favorable for them. I mean, do you have Arkansas coming out of that one?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think Bree Ellis, she's been on a tear, but she's also had a lot of that offense step up and rally around her. Ole Miss, it's been so impressive to see what they've done on the defensive end and rallying late. They're kind of flying under the radar, too. They're an underdog, but ultimately, I got to give it to Arkansas.
Yeah. Bama, Oklahoma, big battle down south. What you got there?
I think you have to take OU going to a World Series. If you don't have OU going to the World Series, well, I'd probably check your bracket. I could be wrong. Anything can happen on any given day, but I'm taking the Oklahoma Sooners every single year at the Women's College World Series.
I know a lot of people in the comments were upset even that they weren't number 1 in the nation heading into the tournament. They thought they should have had that spot over Texas A&M. OU, always consistent, always so good. So we'll see what they can do and if they end up in OKC once again. And then Tennessee, Nebraska.
That, honestly,
big battle there.
That is the hardest one in my mind because Jordy Ball, she had 4 home runs, by the way, in the regional.
So crazy.
And then coming off of that ACL injury has been lights out on the mound. Big Ten Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year. Just remarkable. But then you also have Carlin Pickens and some of the best hitters in the nation at Tennessee. This is a hard one. I'm going to have to go with Tennessee on this one.
Okay. Pickens takes the cake.
That's a hard one. This is a really hard one for me, Annie. This is a really hard one for
well,
me.
you know
I'm
what?
taking Tennessee.
It's going to be a must-watch, that's for sure. But Tori, she's sticking with the Vols, so we'll see if that holds true.
That one might get me.
Yeah, that one might break her bracket. 2 left. So we have Clemson, Texas. Texas, pretty daunting, but Clemson's heating up.
Yeah, I think when you look at Clemson, they've just got so many seasoned athletes. They're so competitive. Winning that ACC tournament was massive for them. But Texas, I think you're going to see Texas Tech come out of theirs, Texas come out of this one. It's just bigger in Texas, I guess. I'm taking them.
Except for A&M. They couldn't hold up their side of the market. And then last one, Florida, Georgia.
I think Florida and Georgia is a crazy one. I don't think anybody expected Georgia to come out of that one.
And those were crazy games, too.
That was crazy games. But I think because they were able to pull that off, I think they're going to pull it off again.
Yeah.
That is my lower seed that I see getting things done. That one might also bust my bracket. because Florida's just been so dang good all season. But you know what? I love an underdog, and they're going to be mine.
Yeah,
So
you get on a heater, and you never know what can happen. So, gosh, looking around the nation, such a great super regional lineup on deck for everyone this weekend. And just looking at the NCAA, what they did is they took all the super regional teams and they re-ranked them now. Out of 16, Liberty is 14. Okay, so the only two behind them are Ole Miss and Georgia. They have Oregon slated at 13. So technically, according to the NCAA, we have the 13-14 going at it right now. But I'm sure Liberty fans would like to say, don't discount our Lady Flames and what they can do. You just saw them take down the number one team in the nation. They got confidence that they can beat just about anybody, which makes you so dangerous. If you're Oregon going up against Liberty, you're like, man, I'm taking on a team that not only can put up as many runs as they did against the number one team in the nation, but now they have that belief that you beat the number one, you feel like you are the number one.
I think that's exactly what they feel right now. It's kind of that why not us mentality. Why not Liberty?
Yeah.
I think people have been saying that. Why not Liberty? Why couldn't this be their year? The most talented group of Flames that we've seen come through this program. And I think just the chemistry that they've got, I mean, their ability to rally late in games, they just get each other's backs, and I think that has been remarkable to see.
They're never out of it. Before we let you guys go, Tori, my question for you, if there's going to be one Lady Flame that kind of has a breakout in the Super Regional, maybe it's not the Rachel Roupe who you kind of expect greatness from every single time, but maybe like a Paige Dorr, who last series, man, she was just so consistently great. Who do you have being that kind of underdog that rises above in the Supers?
I really think that Bryn McManus could be knocking on the door. I am waiting for her to just unleash. I think that there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on McManus, and I think she could do it.
Okay, I would say I'm waiting on Woodard. She had a pretty solid series, but I think, like, hey, she's been in these big moments before with Bama. She is in her 6th year. She's been through so much in her college career. I'm ready to see her shine when it matters most. Savvy Woodard all the way. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Liberty Softball Podcast. Friday is the big day, Liberty versus Oregon. The Lady Flames are already wheels up to Eugene, and we hope to see you out there.